G'day. This is a video of me doing a landscape plan in Gcad. I use this program here to record it. It's OBS. It's free. Give it a shot if you want to do your own recordings or something. So Gcad Plus is what we're using. I highly recommend it. It's free for trial. Go to their website. I think it's gardencad.com or something. Just Google it, or Gcad. So we're going to produce a landscape drawing. The idea of this video is to show you how to produce a quick landscape drawing from a on-site consultation. Relatively easy, without going over the top and spending too long in it, but also be able to take measurements from the plan and use it in your quotation for concrete and all that kind of stuff. First we'll probably distract a little bit and do talk about a few other things at the same time, but first I'll show you some pictures of the job. This is the house here. These clients had just purchased this as sort of part investment, so it's not their main dwelling, so they're not looking to deck it out as though they live there, so they're not going to overcapitalise too much on it. It's but because they're going to rent it out, most likely, they don't just want cheap. They want it to be done properly and look half decent, and good for the tenants too. So but also be easy to look after, so there's no major surprises and not a lot of work for the tenants and themselves, or worries and callbacks and stuff. The previous owner had done this landscaping. Less upset about it. It's probably better. It's very poor, but you can see they were doing that obviously on a budget, or either to get it dressed up for sale, or who knows, or just anything for the tenants that were going to move in. The less money the better, I imagine it was that scenario. Grass is all over the place. It wasn't even done properly. There's this edging here. It's just pine. It's moved all about, probably rot in no time. Pebbles on dirt in some places, and then we dug out around some of these pebbles, and there's just black membrane underneath. It's just not even weed cloth. It still hasn't really stopped it. It's just really held the water on the membrane, and whatever dust and silt and seeds have flown in, as you can see, just growing on top. So yeah, and you compare it. This is a bit neater across the road. There's quite a few neat ones in this area, and this one is probably the worst of them. You can sort of tell which houses are probably investments and rented out versus ones that are owner occupiers. But this one, the clients will definitely, knowing the clients, they'll want a good job, and one that will last and serve the tenants well and themselves and anyone going forward who might own the house. And it's an important thing to think about when you're doing the landscaping, is that the house is going to be there for 100 years, maybe more. So the landscaping should be the same. You should be looking. It doesn't matter who owns it now or whether it's investment. You think long term, and do a good job. So let's have a look here. We're not sure exactly what we're going to do here. I'm going to draw up a few pictures. We're trying to reuse this fake grass, and we're going to extend. I'm proposing to extend the concrete here, because it matched the crossover. You fit 2 cars in the driveway there. We're going to cut out this section of concrete here, and we're going to sort of, just watching my mouse pointer, we're going to sort of try and curve it around like that. And we're going to bring a path coming back around, and then we're going to connect it into the sideway. But we're going to leave a bit of garden bed there. This will reduce the front lawn area, but because it's so small anyway, we're trying to avoid grass for people to mow. But we're not sure if we're going to reuse these pebbles and put them all in the front. It's just the same with pebbles at the front, or if I was suggesting just do it all lawn, because there is quite a lot of lawn to mow on these nature strips anyway, so whoever's going to mow them is going to mow that at the same time. It's only an extra 15-20 metres at most. So there's a few ideas at the front. It's a little bit of a tricky little spot to do. There's a lot of height difference here between here and the street here. It's probably maybe 400 mil, and it's close proximity here, so yeah, you run into a few issues there, but we'll try and work something out. So there's the sideway here, and you'll see the start of more problems here. This is the previous owner. This is just during settlement, the last inspection. Previous owner had put this apron, concrete apron, around the house, and I'm not exactly sure why. I'm pretty sure I know why, because it's something that's asked for a lot of builders, or all builders, that as soon as your house is constructed, you get a concrete apron around your house to protect the slab from water inundation. But I don't know if that's actual law. It's a bit hard to tell. It's a bit of a grey area, or it's just a what's this saying? It's advisory thing. I mean, I don't think you could knock back warranty in a house based on the fact that you don't have a concrete apron around your house, because well, my rationale is that if the house required a concrete apron to be stable while being built, then it would be incorporated as part of building the house in the engineering. I mean, you wouldn't engineer the slab, do soil tests, design a slab for the ground, and then say, well, the whole thing rests on whether you have a concrete apron around the house. It sort of got no logic to it. But it happens a lot. It's a constant thing I'm hearing when I'm going to jobs, that, oh, you've got to get a concrete apron around the house within the first 90 days before the main inspection, or they won't extend our warranty, or that if there's a cracked cornice, they're not going to repair it until you do that. Which I just don't think is true. I just don't see how it's true. And there's definitely no doubt you can't have water you can't have the land graded towards the house and water pulling up against the house. But actually having a slab around the house, what I've read is that it's supposed to be 1 metre wide and 50 mil fall, 1 in 50, which is quite a steep fall too. 50 mil over 1 metre is quite steep, and it's quite an aggressive fall away from the house too. It also very limiting. Like, the house blocks are getting smaller, so you're putting in a slab, taking away a meaty house, and you're sort of limiting your landscape design around your home. Like, for instance, in this scenario, if it was my house, I would like to see a path in the centre, and like say I'd have the path in the centre here, and then a bit of garden against the house, and a bit of garden down this side, and maybe even have the path curving like that, sort of meandering, so you're getting larger pockets of garden on each side, and it's not as plain looking. But it appears that you can't do that. You've just got to put this slab in. Now what's happening is people are buying homes, and it's the first 90 days. In the old days it was a bit more that you bought your home, you saved up, then you did your driveway, you saved up some more, then you did your landscaping. But now they want you to get your landscaping done early with the overlays in the estates, and the builders want you to get this apron in so they can, well, not get it in, they just use it against you if you've got any warranty claims, saying, oh, well, something's moved or cracked. And then they'd say, oh, you've got to put your apron in, and then we'll come back and fix the crack in the cornice. And it's sort of just like, sometimes it's too hard, or people don't have the extra money to do that. And if they do, then they just do the bare minimum, so 650 mil wide, and that's is what you sort of end up with. And I think in this scenario here, the owner would have got a building surveyor or inspector to come in, and they would have inspected, and then they would have said, well, as part of settlement and part of selling the house to the next person, to obtain and secure the warranty to the next person, it has to be sold with this apron. And I think what's happened is that they've probably chosen the cheapest installer, contractor to do this. It doesn't mean necessarily a bad job. I mean, they may have done it themselves. I really don't know, but it is a poor job. I mean, it hasn't cracked, but it's still a poor job. I mean, you've got. Well, I don't know what's happening here. It keeps flicking around the photos. Now we go back this way. Okay, all right. So yeah, you've got the spilled up concrete against there. There's no fault lines in it. There's no expansion against the wall of the house. And it's pretty straight. It's a little bit kinked just here. A little bit of varying thickness on the edge. Yeah, so it's not. I mean, it's functional, but yeah, it's far from good. I mean, look at this piece here. This just juts out. I don't know what their plan was there. Maybe they're going to join up a path there. It's odd. And I mean, the side's not dressed. This is what I was saying about the height difference before. You got to do some landscaping there, but that's quite a severe angle. So you really should trail and finish off the side of this concrete here to make it presentable. I personally, yeah, like a lot of other things you could do there. But anyway, you can see this is all concrete on the wall here too. It's built up there. And on the render it's worse because you won't get that off. You acid wash it with the render, you're just going to get discoloring of the render. Not all render discolors with acid on it, but some do. So you just got to be careful. So the client, well, I know I pretty much said to the client, I think you should take all this out and redo it properly, and they tend to agree because the path's pretty much not functional. It's 600mm wide. I mean, it doesn't even line up with the gate. It's sort of, it's crazy. But this is a bureaucracy for you, is that you got to go get this done to secure your warranty, and then you just end up with this because you rush people into it. Houses, yeah, it's not very good the way it's working at the moment, and it's not clear as to whether you really truly have to do this. You, like I was saying before, you definitely have to make sure the water runs away. I mean, you could just run dirt and cover. I can understand covering the top of the slab with dirt running away from the building. That's definitely a must, and it's usually done in the site clean or final site clean. So your bobcat will come around and pick up all the site rubbish and dump any like old brick sand or stockpiled soil. Usually there's a bit of stockpiled soil on site. And then they'll just dress up along the top of the slab just to cover the slab and angle it away, and then from there you can do what you have to do. But yeah, and then they're asking for this everywhere, which doesn't really limit your design, your landscaping, and yeah, I'm not a fan. So a bit closer look at it again. So no foam, as I said. A bit of stuff up the wall. There's more up the wall here. So we're going to cut this out. I'm going to put a new path in, and we're going to clean that off beforehand with acid and scrub it down and pressure wash it probably. There's a bit more of it up the wall. This is an existing slab that was part of the original house, so it's the al fresco slab, and it lines up with that, which it doesn't really make much. And you can look how thick that is. It's barely 50mm thick there. So there wasn't much effort made to get a solid, consistent beam right around the house. So this here isn't really dressed up for as a paving surface. It needs to have something tiled on it. That's what it's meant to be done. And so this doesn't really meet up to the right height. So when you do this tiling on this, you're going to have to have a little trip step there or retile all this too, which isn't really what you should have to do. But I'll tell you what we'll do about that in a minute. I'll just keep showing you around. So working from the back, we'll just show you the general plan. And you can see there's one of the pits for the termite inspection and refilling. The termite guard runs around the house through there, right around, and that's where they fill it up from. But you can see the pit here. We'll go back this way a bit. There we go. There's one there. See how either that's been concreted in at all different angles. And there's the one on the other side of the house that's been concreted in. Yeah, just with no care. So there we are. So where's the front again? Let's get back this way. So this is the side of the house. We'll start working from out of here. We're going to essentially pull all this out, clean that wall. This is going to have to be fixed on the other side or here a bit higher. We'll try and get it up to the top there because the laundry door's there, but even though we might actually do it freestanding, so we might actually get some posts, put it on the other side of the fence there. I think that's the goal. These will all be re-leveled and put back correctly against the wall. So starting from here, these will come up. We're going to try and pick up all this Tuscan rock and sort it all out and reuse it in the landscape later, stockpile it. These pavers will come out, of course. This concrete will come out. We're pretty much going to concrete from this garage door edge all the way down to here and square it off to the house. And we'll probably do that with a bit of like a little, you know, brownie oxide, orangey brownie oxide in the mix, or some hardener or something like that, just to, you know, just so it's not plain concrete and it looks quite good with the house. It's an inexpensive way to make it look half good. And then just down there, just some either pebbles with some succulents in there or something like that. Something really easy that's not going to grow weeds, and the client or the tenants won't have to look after too much. But then now the path will be completely usable, and we'll probably put this clothesline on this side up here against the fence, and we'll keep going this way. Again, that'll come up. We'll get around to here. I think we missed a photo. We'll go back this way. There we go. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pull this concrete up. We're going to extend this slab at the same level all the way out to where that garage door lined up before, all the way out to there. See where the eaves are? It's going to come down here, down to there, and it's going to end just in the edge of this window, which you can't see there. And then on top of that, we're going to do some paving, so probably some sandstone paving, and mortar them all on and grouted and sealed and all that kind of stuff. Go this way. I don't know if we can get another photo. Yeah, so that will be one big, we'll see it on the 2D drawing anyway. So we'll go to there. And then, yeah, there we go. So it'll finish there, and then from there we'll cut all this out, and we'll bring in the path coming all the way around, because they want to continue the slab around to fit the builder's warranty as well. So we're going to do the same, and it's also going to reduce lawn area and garden area, and so it's going to pretty much line up about there, I think. And that'll be sandstone, and then from there it'll just be concrete again, with a bit of oxide in it to the corner, about 1 metre wide or 1.2. And carry around there and all the way down the side. Now this is quite high and that's quite low. A couple options here. We can put another sleeper under the fence rail, but these posts probably aren't high enough. I mean, we can cut the sheets down, but it's just not really worth it. So I think we're just going to run a what are we going to do? A couple options. I think we're going to run yeah, I think we're going to just run a retaining wall almost right up next to that, and just drop some sleepers in, and then level this out to be almost, you know, which will finish about that height. A bit hard to tell with the levels here in a photo, but yeah, they end up about, you know, 100 200 mil above that rail, because the street's so low on this side and this is so high. This whole slab probably could have been set at least 2 brick courses lower, or maybe at least a brick course lower. I'd say 2. I think it's just way too high in relation, in proximity to this street. I don't know who decides these heights or how they work that out. You know, or who just decides to turn up on the site the day and, oh, I don't want to dig out an extra 200 mil, and they don't do it. I'm not sure. It's always had me a bit dumbfounded. I mean, even here it's slightly higher than what it could be. I mean, this paved area. I mean, this fence should probably be up another 100 mil, or this house should be down 100 mil. It's a bit hard to say, and you can see a lot of difference there. So I think we were discussing, I've forgotten what it was. I think I'm going to put a retaining wall down there and just level it off, so that will finish in line with the gate paving, and that'll just be garden. And we're probably going to put some those blue spear conifers in a row straight down here, with the Tuscan toppings backing around it. Very minimal. We don't want anything to, I mean, you could put a hedge in, a lily-pilly hedge or something, but it's just going to require maintenance. So at least with those blue Spartan conifers, there's not much to do on them. They grow quite compact, and that's it. As long as they get watered, that'll be the key. It's quite high up here, so it'll be drained away quite quickly and dry out in summer. We'll see what happens. If there's another row of bricks down here, another course of bricks, which I don't think there is, because I haven't been able to find that out yet, because I think that's already at slab height, at the top of the slab. I would like to take that concrete down another row if we can get all that brick clean, if it's under there. If we can do that, it's going to go a long way to eliminating this height variation between the house and the boundary. You can see with this gate, they've mounted how high they've had to mount the gate to, be above probably the concrete slab, and it's crazy. Anyway, I think there's no other alternative. We can, I mean, it creates a ledge, but you could just have the concrete come to there, do the ledge of the concrete even, and then just have a lower area down here. But it's not that usable then, is it? I mean, whether you use the sideway for anything but walking through anyway to take the bins out, it's hard to say. Yeah, so the backyard area, this area here, we're probably just going to put a lawn in there, a lawn and a bit of garden bed, and then I'll show you that in the plan. We'll get the plan in. What else is there to mention? So here, this is just going to go around to there. This is the plan for the front. So come around to here, and we're going to try and join that in around to the front. My idea is to edge this so it comes down quite, so it just comes off the edge, the ledge, picks up the edge of the concrete so it looks neat, and then just keep that low in there, and then have whatever we have down here sort of meet up slowly as it comes up the edge of this driveway, and we'll drop this concrete down as low as we can go and still look reasonable. A bit hard to sort of do until you're on site, but you sort of get an idea. We might do that with some cordon edging or something, just steel edging. You won't really see it. And here we're going to extend this to see this line here. This is where the crossover sort of ends back over here. We're just going to extend this concrete straight to line up with the garage almost. And that can get you 2 cars in. We're going to cut out this section of concrete here, and we're going to bring this coming up around the back of the meter here. We're going to bring the path out probably from that about 600 mil out from there, and about a meter path, and it's going to come around, and it's going to sort of come around there, and it's going to meet back around to the side gate, and that way you get a bit of garden here. You reduce this lawn area, so when you do this area here, which could be either all lawn, genuine lawn, not the fake lawn, or pebbles, because we might reuse these pebbles as all pebbles, because we're trying to keep the cost down here. We'll reuse all the pebbles through there, or I'm saying all lawn because they've got a lot of lawn to do anyway at the moment. In the nature strips, they've got tenants will have to mow all those, so they may as well mow an extra 20 metres at the front. You can see here, that's a better photo. Alright, so we'll come up to there, come around the back, curve around, curve back into there. You'll have a bit of garden there, and then we'll just either do all pebbles, all kikuyu or something cheap and resilient and tough, or we might still utilise this fake grass, but we're going to need a 2.5 metre strip is the only bit we really have out of the middle, which if we turn it around, I measured, we'll just have a strip of fake grass and the rest is pebbles. So whatever I do, it's a tough little yard because it's a lot of fall, very tiny, hard to know what to do, and then you've got the the brief of keeping it economical and low maintenance. So there's not much left unless you just do pebbles. And the previous guy did this with just the pebbles. He's just put a bit of plastic vapor barrier underneath there, and it's just collected dust, water in there, and then the weeds are growing in between the rocks. It's not even proper weed mat there. Some of it I don't even think has even weed mat anyway, a vapor barrier even. And he's just pretty much put this on the ground as it is. It's all over the place, and even then this timber edging is just pine. It's almost going to rot. It's already all warped, and yeah, so that gives you a bit of an idea of what we've got to do there. So pull the concrete out, new path right around, paving at the back, a bit of lawn at the back. Utilise all these Tuscan pebbles, call them Tuscan pebbles, 20mm. Try and reuse them on the garden, same as these. Front's a bit up in the air, but pretty much a path, I imagine, coming through here and joining up with this, edge of this, and then sort of all pebbles and or lawn, or a bit of you using some of the old synthetic turf. Not exactly you know, a real creative job. It's a pretty basic one, but you know, some of these can be quite rewarding in their own right, because a bit of a challenge in themselves to get it working. So this is the mud map I sort of came up with. I use this graph paper. This is A3. It's actually an A3. It's an A3 graph paper with 2mm squares, and I just go out there and I just pretty much run my tape around the whole house and measure every side, square, 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 and then square, and then measure the distance from the boundary. You see I've measured there. So I've measured from this back wall corner to there. It's 5970 to get the back of the fence. We just do it parallel. Same on this, 2105 is that space there. And then when I've done the front, I didn't quite fit on the same page, so I just sort of orientated it the other direction, but it actually spins around and connects to the front. So you know, try and draw it in one piece if you can. It's a bit rough there, but it'll all make sense once we get it in the thing, as long as you can read your writing, or my writing, when you get back home, and get it back into the computer as soon as you get back. Otherwise you'll be like, oh, what was that? And I do that a lot. So like this one here, I've got in 2.1 water meter, that's where it is, but I have no reference for how far out it is. I know it's 2.1 from the driveway edge, but yeah, it wasn't too bright. Anyway, it'll be enough to get us get the job done. So let's go to the drawing. So we start. Well, we've just opened up a new file essentially. I have no real. Let's go new. Select template drawing. I don't have a template. I just start with a new one and I just change my settings as I go. I should probably set it up the way I like it and then just have it the way I want it. But for me, I'm okay with this for now. Is it first design? There's a few of the ones that are actually in Gcad itself. Flexible. I think this has just got a few little. I can't remember the name of them now. Plant emblems, whatever, to drop in there. Green spade template. Don't know what that is. I think I know what that is. He'll know. They know who I'm talking about. I don't know. I never actually opened one. Default. We're just going to get default. Okay. We haven't saved it yet, so we're just going to start drawing and then we'll save. I tend to use the drop down menus up here. You can just use these shortcut point ones here, which is what they're meant for. So if you, I think the idea behind Gcad mostly is more mouse orientated, so you can, you know, it's more intuitive and easier for us landscapers to use. I'm still using at least these drop down menus. I'm just, well, the first Gcad had it, so I started using it. The first measurement is 6,515 millimeters. So we go draw line, but we've got no snap on or orientation. This is why So you right click, draft settings, folder tracking, turn that on, object snap. I click them all. You can go snap on. That sort of stuffs me up sometimes. For now, we'll just leave this line. So we're starting from the front corner of the house where that gate was, and we're going to work back from there. So it's 6, first one is 6, 5, 15. So I just type that. It's going to type into there. Go up. So as long as you've got that polar tracking on, you just leave it there. You want 6, 5, 15. Enter, and there's our first line. Because the tape measure I have is only 10 meters long, when I'm measuring the wall, I might stop at a certain point which I can keep my eye on. And in this case, I started on the other back corner and I measured to 9,590, and I marked that. And then from there, I measured the 6,515. I'm starting at 6,515 because my tape's only 10 meters long. I've got to go within 10 meters, and I think the sideway is only 15. So from there, we go 9590. Enter that, and that's the side. The next measurement is 4210. We'll just put a little. I just put that there for reference later, because sometimes I can't find the endpoints or midpoints. In the old Gcad I used to find it a bit easier, but this one less so. So I just do that. It's easy to just move later, and then I just start a fresh line. And this is 1270. And the reason I measured that, because that's the same distance on the other side of the alfresco, so I was just trying a bit of symmetry in the actual alfresco area, balanced on each side, but it's probably not going to make much difference once you see the plan done anyway. But at least we tried. 3000. Okay, that's how far out the alfresco comes from the back door, and then they got pillars on the corners, and the width of that is actually only 2700. We go back that way, we'll overlap it, and then I'll go from here. And another thing I find that annoys me about this a little bit is, say I want to snap onto that, it won't let me, it won't polar track once it's on that line, but I want to keep the polar tracking. To keep the polar tracking, I'm going to go past the line, so it snaps onto the polar tracking. If I go on the line, it won't do it. I've got to ask the Gcad guy, Keith, about that. Anyway, so what I do is I just do that, and it's funny, when you pop it back, it'll pop back nicely, but it won't track. It won't polar track while it's on that line. So that's what I've been doing to solve that. And then I just press enter, start a new line, instead of going line, etc. And this one, you'll see it's that 1270 again, which we had on that side there, and that's to the corner of the house. So lock it in the polar tracking, put the distance in, enter, and that's what we have. Now the sideway is 1050 or 10,500, 10,500 millimeters, 10.5 meters. Enter. Go back this way. This sideway. Have a look at what I can't read it. Okay, it's 1770 to the edge of the house. I'll just go back that way a bit. But then there was another 200 mil to the fence line boundary. So there's this gap between the garage and the fence line, which is unusual. I don't know why they wouldn't have built that house straight up to there. Anyway, this one we'll just overrun it. We'll just get it anywhere as long as it tracks square. And same with this one. We do another line here. This is going to be the same. That's going to be the garden bed essentially. Now we're going to find out where the rear boundary is. What I measured from there to the fence is 5,670. So I'll go line 5,670. If you're doing a new house that hasn't been built yet, you might be asked to do it off a plan, which is easy to do. I might do another video about that. But I still don't trust the measurements and final positioning of everything in the boundary, so I still would rather go out, do a drawing around the house, like measure everything and just get it spot on. and be sure. Sometimes you don't get a choice because obviously it hasn't been built yet, but I will show you one I'm doing at the moment where I've done that. I've done it a few times, and I try to avoid. I'd rather just have the house up, go and measure it up, and have a get a visual for it and heights and things. And then otherwise you can end up doing two plans. And once you're doing an adjustment and something's out, it's just a little bit frustrating. Even though people still want, to get an idea and an early stage quote. Anyway, so that's the. But yeah, you have to do it twice. It just depends. So that one there, that's the boundary there. I'll delete that because that gave me my space, so I knew how far I had to go out. You could have done it with a point, so you can go point, but sometimes you don't see point. So in this case here, what I'll do is I'll delete this line, erase I should say, draw. We'll go point from here. Now we're going to bring out this alfresco paving 3 to 3.8 meters. So if I go 3800, and there's that point there. So we can use that, and then we can go line and get that to snap onto that, and that's our paving area. Draw again, line. Now I should just press enter, or I can just grab this line and extend that, snap that like that, and I can do the same with this one, and that will come out to there. Now you can trim those lines. I just grabbing them, and I'm just grabbing them and bringing them back in. Really, I think there's a trim tool you can go. Draw. I forget where the trim tool is. Oh, it's over here. So there's a shortcut to the trim tool here. I think it's this one. Trim. So I can go like that. Trim. Am I using it correctly? I don't know. Let's try that again. Trim, extend, join, trim. I forget how to use this tool. I just don't use it very much. Select. Okay, so if we go trim, let's try that again. Trim, select edge objects. So that's the edge object. I'd say that's the edge we want to trim to. And that one. Select object to trim. Okay, try that again. So I'm right clicking, I select that. I don't know. I just can't get that to work there. Trim. Select object. Oh, okay. So trim. You select that, and then you select that. So if you want to cut this line off here, you've got to show the program where you want it cut to, not what you want to cut first. If that makes sense, because computers don't work that way. They're deductive, so it's like, so that's where it's got to go to, and then no, actually I've done that wrong. So I've got to press, so trim, that's where you cut to, right click, not left click, and then that's it. And then you can just press enter, have the trim tool again. Say here, we want to cut to this line, we'll cut that off, we'll cut that to this. So you left click on that, right click, trim. You can't trim that one because you selected it, so you got to unselect, press enter again for the trim, select this one, right click, and then cut with the left. Make sense? It's clear as mud. I will do it when so trim. We cut that off. We need to show the program that's there. You could probably select another one, and it allows you to. Probably have to select both sides. We'll see what happens if we don't select both sides. Let's start again. So trim. I'll select that one. After you've selected that with the left, you click right, and then you select the bit you want to remove with the left, and it goes. So that actually does work. You don't have to select both sides of that. So there you have it. And if we zoom in on this, we'll do it again. Trim. Select the one you want to cut to. Well, that's actually a point, so we don't even really need to do that. We can just select the. Let me select that point. I'm going to select the middle of the point. There it is. So you can't just grab the point from the outside. It's not going to let you. You've got to grab from in the middle. And we can just delete that, erase it. So I went off a bit there, but I don't usually use the trim tool. I just usually grab that and I just bring it back in. I'll show you in a minute. So then with the other one here, we've got draw a line. So again, we'll use a point if you want to. Points there. So we start at the corner. We go out this way. Hold the tracking 2105 to there. That's the boundary. Draw a line. Overrun it, and then rather than trim, it feels like you're doing extra work. I can just do 2 clicks like that. So I'm just, for the most part, doing that most of the time. There's probably a shortcut to trim on the keypad. I'm not sure what it is. But yeah. Alright, so that's coming together. We don't want that there. We'll click this back to here. It's all going to be garden bed down there. We're actually going to draw a line here because that's going to be a different kind of paving product. There. We might draw in some pillars. I think they're about 470 is the standard size if you've got 2 bricks or 2.5 bricks together. So yeah, no, it is 470 is 2 bricks. 2.5 is about 530, I think. 470 will do for now. I think I've done that. So then I'll just go 470. You could try and enter. You could just use the rectangle tool, I guess. I'm just use lines mostly for rectangle tools. So we want to go through 2 points. 2 points bring us out from the corner. No, we'll go because we need the diagonal, I think, for that one. So if you had 3 points, where are we? Rectangle. What's the 3 points give us? No, because what we really want is just center size angle. So it's 470. It would be 235. I think if I just went like this. Oh, see, it's going to give us the center. That's annoying. Let's try rectangle. See, by the time I've worked out this, I suppose if I was shot 270. Yeah, okay, so I should have done it that way. It's not 270, it was 235. 2 points, let's try it this way. Because it's diagonal, I don't think it's going to work again. So if we went 470, the same as the other. Yeah, it's just massive. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not sure how to use it. It's not really anything else but that. I'm just going to stick to the line method. Oh. So that's the existing concrete we saw in the alfresco area earlier on the pictures. We're going to extend that concrete at the same level out to here, and then we're going to pave over the whole lot in some in some sandstone tiles probably. So what I'll do now is I'll save this now, because if something happens I'm going to lose what I've put in so far. So save as. Alright, so what we're going to do is draw. So rather than hatch this, I think I prefer to do it this way. I'll show you. So just do a polyline. You can just get doing for the paving to there, and then we enter closed. You go draw. The reason I saved is also because we're about to hatch something. I didn't usually. The most likely time you're going to have it crash on you and lose your work is when you go to hatch something, I'd say, or that's usually what I've had in the past. But I know what's going to make it crash, so just got to be careful, or the other, or unless the computer decides to shut down. But it is saving your files as a back instead of an LCD. It saves it as something else. You can check it out. There's a few things on it on Gcad on YouTube. So we'll go hatch this, and see it's all selected. We hit right click into it. We're going to go select solid. We're going to select an 8x8 block pattern, elevation stretcher bond, because it's how I like to install my tiles. I like a stretcher bond. I don't like it stacked on each other. And we'll do that. The scale, what will that be? I'm not sure what it will look like. I'm going to turn it around 90 degrees, and I'm going to, I think, let's just say 5 for scale and see if that works. Okay, they're too big. So what I can do here, sometimes say I want to do a 400 by 400 sort of tile, I might just go to tool and go distance and just see what that's sort of coming up as there. That's a 1000 tile, so we're going to go half that, so at least, so 2.5. You just click on the hatch, scale, clear that, 2.5, enter, and then we've got our paving there. What we can do as well, if you want to be a bit fancier, because it can look alright. We're having a bit of problem at the moment. You can't print this though. I'll just show you. So we'll do another polyline on top of a polyline. Like that. We'll enter filled. Select it. We'll choose a colour we like. Say a nice paving colour. Looks like the walls. I don't really like any of those colours. I don't really want to sit here and spend time selecting colours. Although that one looks alright. Okay, that one. So it's just like that. So what we can do is we go tools, draw order. We can send that to the back. So let's look at some paving now. We select that again. Now there is some problem with this because apparently if you go to print this out, if you print it out it works okay, but if you so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some transparency on it. So if you use the polyline and you enter filled and you've put a solid color in, you can add transparency to it and you can print it out on the printer. But if you do it, you can't add transparency to a hatch that's a solid hatch because you've got no option to add transparency to it. But you can't at the moment, for whatever, when you go print to PDF, you aren't able to add the transparency to the PDF, I don't believe. It's one of the things at the moment I'm trying to sort out, I think, with Gcad. It's not it's a nice feature. It's not not a completely necessary. It's a good feature though, the transparency. So I'm not sure if they can add transparency to the hatch. I don't know the finer details of that, but it might come out differently. So we're looking for the transparency. There is, so transparency 255. I'm not sure what that number means. It just says it always comes up with 255. I just halve it. So let's have a look at this and what it looks like. So that's what that looks like. The moment, and then if we change that number 255 to say 125 and enter, and you can see it's changed color. What we'll do, we'll go to new layout and we'll fix that one So we got Layouts Manager. Double click on that. I'm usually I've got an A3 printer, so I'm usually trying to do most of my plans on an A3 if I want to print them out. I mean, I can always do an extra layout. I can always send it to them in A2, and then they can go to Officeworks and print it out. In this case, I'm just going to go A3 for now, landscape, because it's most likely what I'm going to use, and it's big enough to read in a PDF size. Because I mean, the screen I use is a 30-inch monitor, and I'd say an A3 is almost a little bit smaller than that. So you can open up a full A3 on a 30-inch monitor and still have good room around it. Well, A2 you couldn't do that. I mean, you can still just downsize it, of course, but just work that way. So okay. For some reason this is a bit buggy. You press OK, and yeah, it looks like it's going to crash or something, but it doesn't. So what we've got to do now, that's the viewing window, the viewport, I should say. I'm going to send to the viewport. That's the paper. The viewport's looking into the model. That's how the best way to see it. So that's your through the looking glass sort of thing. That's what you're seeing. That's what it's seeing onto the paper. So you want to open that viewport up, and I just sort of roughly end it to there. But now that's out of proportion to the drawing itself. And all you do there is you just double click onto this. That movement wasn't anything to do with anything else, it was just a movement from a mouse. It wasn't to do with double clicking. And then you just change that viewport. Now you see the viewport in the model space, and you click it like that. But this model's going to be quite a bit bigger than that. It's probably going to come out to there time we incorporate the front yard. So we're going to go like that. Push it that way. The main reason for this is then you click the layout, and then because you see the broken line there, just double click it, and that just turns off that viewport. Our main reason for that is I just wanted to show you the transparency. The other thing to just be careful of, just turn the line weight's always on. I just turn it off, and it looks a bit cleaner. So let's just try that. Just keep in mind of that. We'll go back to this. We'll turn that transparency off. We'll go back to 255, and you can see it's a lot brighter. And that's what it looked like on paper. So you can see the transparency. Putting in the background, adding the transparency, just gives you the hint of what the colours might be. Highlights the pattern that you might be intending to use, and I think it's a bit better with the transparency if you can do it. So we'll just go to model. We'll look at that trend. Click on this filled polyline area, not a hatch. Go back to our, where is it? Transparency. I couldn't see. Yeah, we'll just click it down to 125. Enter, and you can see it's dropped off a bit, and you can see those lines are pretty more prominent now. Just looks a bit better. So that's our paving, and what we'll do now is we'll draw a polyline on this area. For whatever reason, object snap, we want that back on. We're working in layout, that's why we want to be over here. I don't know if I want object snap. I do want object snap on. Let me get out of that draw. Polyline. Do this one. Enter. Now we can do this as concrete too. So, but what I'd like to do, enter as closed. We'll hatch it first with the pattern in it. Right click, not this one, because there's a good one here for exposed aggregate. Not that one. It's a rocks and stone. Where is it? Gravel pattern. That was very. That looks like it's going to crash. There is no responding there. Okay, it's all right though. No, it's all right. We can go. No, it's crashed. So. Um, It just keeps going back to this pattern. Maybe we can. It's having a hard time with that one. I've never selected that one before. I think I know why, because we might be running this at the same time, and it's oh, it looks like it's come good. Oh, we're back in. Alright, let's try that again. Hatch, we'll select that. We want to get out of that quickly if we can. Sometimes if you click this, it'll go to that and we can get out of it. There we go. We can try and select something else. If you give it a minute, there we go. There's gravel too. Okay, so I just want to get gravel though. I don't necessarily want gravel. I just want to see what that looked like. I forgot what it looked like. A series of dots. That sometimes is okay as just as a plain concrete effect. So if we go, so 1 density, we'll see that. It's too dense. So luckily it tells us that before. Let's go 3, too dense. Go 5. Try. See, look at that density ratio, 13:22. We've got to get that down. I think we can go to 100 almost, maybe even 200. Yeah, see, I think we can increase that though. We'll increase it through here. We'll go to 100. See what that looks like. I'm sure there was a better pattern than that. We can go back. See, you can change it. I think you can change it this way. Random dot and stone pattern. That's the one I use for exposed aggregate usually, to showing random dot patterns what you want. That's the one I use for concrete. Okay, so we change to that. Select that. I think 100's 5. Yeah, that's a good one. And so you got that. Something's going on there. I think the hatch went from the. Yeah, I think this hatch disappeared too. So if I go draw hatch 8 by 8, 90. I don't know what happened there. Oh, this. That's better. Okay, 2 is what we wanted. Yep. And then we'll go draw polyline. You don't really have to do all this. I'm just, you know, I get that wrong. Erase that. I'm just doing it to show you. I'd be a bit quicker if I was just racing through it. It's more just about showing you how I do it and other ways to sort of do it of what I know. So polyline. We're just going to do a solid background on this one too. To there, we'll enter filled. We'll select the colour from here. We can go true colour. You can select a true colour, and then you can select right through there. So it's just daunting the amount of colours you can choose there. I think we're just going to go back to here and choose something on the grid. That would be okay. Oh, no, that's probably better there. Select that. And if you go like that and tools, and you send that to back. Alright, so the idea here is to do an oxide or hard colour hardener on that. This is going to be your sandstone paving area with the alfresco here. And yeah, this path is quite wide. We'll try to put some dimensions in so people know what we're on about. So 1770 to there. The alfresco. You probably don't need to do this, you know, if they want to detract from the drawing a little bit, but I think it's good for people to go get out and you get the tape measure and have a double check and see that that's what they want. So the plan, that helps with the plan. So let's get it onto this side here, draw this line, connects onto there. Considering that nearly crashed before, I'm going to save that again. So that was where the gate was. Draw a line to there. And then we're going to look at the front. So it was to the corner of the house, and then we've got a 3970 across the front. Okay, so we'll go back here, draw a line again. The path, the gate width here was, start there, go down. Path width was 1100 to the edge of the gate, according to my mud map. Go to there, and we'll match it the same here too. 1100. I sort of, I'll go to there and I'll start another line from here. Again, I can't snap onto it doesn't polar track on that line, which is kind of annoying because I can never really get it straight with the mouse, so I'll just go past it, click on it, and then just bring it back in like that. This we don't need anymore, erase that. We can trim that, or in this case we're not going to do that, we're just going to go back there. Alright, so we now got full path right around the house. Is 1.1 metres. The only reason it's 1.1 is because the gate's 1.1. Second reason is because it's removing a bit of lawn and garden area and stuff, which we don't really, we're trying to reduce and make less maintenance. I mean, it's not, the solution's a bit brutal because it's just adding more concrete to reduce maintenance, but you know, it's also symmetrical. It's working the width of the gate, coming around nicely. It'll be fine. So we're going to do that in the same way so they get an idea of what's going on. This is all going to be garden. There's two options here. One option is to extend that a little bit more paving and then just keep a garden bed right down the back here, and then make this lawn as a square. So I'll just give you an example. Draw. What I'll do is tools distance. What's the dimension of that? So that's 1005. Tools. I'm just trying to work out what a good size garden bed is there. It's 1870. If we continue that there, it's going to be a tiny patch of grass, but I don't know if that's a bad thing. I think I'd rather have that a larger piece of grass. So if we were to go grab this line, copy, and move it this way. What did I say? 1050. I'll say 1050. I think I might change this. I don't like that. Erase that. Erase that. We're going to keep that there. We can get rid of this. Erase that. There should be another one there. No, that's alright. Keep that to there, but I'm going to try and I don't usually work with splines. I find them a bit difficult to work with unless I explode them, so I generally don't, but I do find it pretty handy. I just got to work with them a bit more. That's not exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to work out a way to, I want to bring this bed a bit further up here and then start to curve it and have a pocket of garden here for maybe a main planting tree here, but also at the same time bring this concrete out here for the paving, so reduce some here in exchange for the paving here, and then when it lines up here we get a nicer edge to here, and then a bigger lawn area here. So I might delete that one again, erase that. Okay. Draw. We'll say we'll start from about the edge of the alfresco. See, if you enter closed, that's what happens. I just want to use it as a normal line, because if I use a 3-point line, the arc, it works okay. It's just not as good as using that. We'll erase that. Let's try again. Alright. It's just practice. I haven't. So I'm going to start this sort of free curve radius arc thing from about square off this corner post here. So we'll sort of go. The more points you put in, the easier you're going to find to be able to adjust it later. You could possibly go there and then another one. Not too much. Input corner, cancel that. How do I get the input? Snap override. Undo the last point. Oh, see, there you go. So we get it. We'll hit the point. We'll hit that there now. Go like that. If I just press escape, it just releases it. So I don't really like that, but I'm just trying to work out how we're going to connect. Oh, I've gone too far actually. That's probably why. Okay, so what I've got to do, bring that to there. Slide that back that way a bit. Grab that one, bring that back to here. I'll remove that. It's annoying me. Erase. That was the original mark. Thinking I could go like that and then like that, because if you look at this area, tools distance 3 meters, it's a lot of area to pave for not much gain. So I'm thinking we'll go arc. I'll start with the spline. You got to sort of play with these a little bit. So you want to come back from here. So just hold that there and press escape. I don't really like that either. We're just going to take a bit of working around just to get something that we think looks half decent. That could probably come out a bit there. And you could put an S into it. I don't ever like curves like coming like that. I always like them to come in at 90, like straight into the line. Like I don't like them to go past and then come in. Just you see, that could kind of work. You could do this. There's just not a lot of room to play with. Make it more S-like. Just like that all there. Yeah, kind of like that. Go back past it. Erase that one. Bring it to there. That's where it originally had it. I'm thinking of paving further out, so I'm going to pave out further because I think it makes more sense than paving out to the fence that way. So it'll be like that. We're going to delete that. We can fine tune that corner. The idea is just about, at the moment, it's just about getting an idea out there. We can fine tune this corner later, remove it, whatever. Snap that onto there. It's not quite coming in correctly. It's going to be more like that. But that gives it a bit of a bulge, which we don't really like, so we can just edge that out a little bit. And that looks a bit deformed. I probably should have another point in there, maybe. That's better. Alright, I think that's a better way of going. The idea is, so what do we got here? We got library, tools, distance. We look at on the diagonal, what do we got there? 2 meters of space, 2.2 meters. Let's find a plant, standard one. Anything will do. These are just placeholders at the moment, so we'll open that, insert into the drawing. Okay, let's resize that. I'll just copy it from this point and just place it. See, if you have snap-on, when you go to use these trees, and then you got, I'll generally have object snap-on for drawing, so it's snapping to each line. In this case, when you've got a tree in there, sometimes it'll snap to the bottom corner of the page. I'm not sure where that is. So if I go copy, see that line, it's taking me somewhere. There's the base point. I think they call it the base point. So it's going to keep snapping to the base point. So you've got to sort of just turn that object snap off, grab it, and then copy, and then you can sort of freely paste it. A bit easier. Okay, so put it there, and that'll give the client an overall idea of, you know, how I generally see it all coming together. So there's a main tree here. Under the plant list can wait for now. It's just supposed to get the idea on the page for these hard surfaces. And then have a smaller tree there, and then something down there, and then we'll go draw on this. So we're going to turn object snap on so we can get back on there. Now I could have this edged in two different ways. That would be my garden edging. I mean, I might put an arc in there. 3-point arc. Dude, I quite like that. About there. Look, it's on a budget. I don't mind putting curves in. I mean, it's no difference to me really. I enjoy doing it, so you know, I could make it square. It's an easier job, but why not just do it a bit better? I think that looks pretty good. And then what I'll do here, I don't know if I should curve that. Into there. It might look odd though because this is a different material, and then you've got this little bit of concrete path there, but as you walk, it flows as you walk around the house. You don't feel like not that anyone would walk this way and that way. It's sort of, but it kind of looks alright. I don't know. That's sort of an option. So that path could run in like that. I don't know if I like it. Maybe reduce it a bit. No, it doesn't work. Yeah, maybe. Hard to say. Let's get this polyline in. So in this case here, you don't have to be too accurate. Just follow that polyline around roughly. This is just for the hatch. In fact, if you take object snap off, it's actually easier because you can pretty much just go wherever you want. Because if the object snap on, it tends to want to snap to lines and trees and stuff. So when you're doing this particular polyline for the hatch, and it's got a few curves, maybe just the only thing is I've got to remember where I started. Shit, no, that's not good. No, I started there, so I don't know how to restart a polyline. I think I'm just going to delete that and start again. So actually I might turn object snap on polyline. Some things I don't know how to do in this program. Race. We'll start there. Remember where we started, because you can't see it over the top of it. Go to there. Go to there. Start there. We'll turn the object snap off, and we'll go around the curve with the object snap off. It's a bit easier. Just eyeballing it. Probably turn object snap back on, get to there, and then because you can't really ID where you are, I'm pretty sure I'm correct, so we'll enter closed. Might just give it a save. We'll go draw, hatch, select. We'll select this one here, which is that one. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, does it? Because it says 200, we only want 2. There. Oh. There's a link cramp. Do another polyline. I don't know if I can reselect that polyline. No, I can. So what I can do, I can't because I've got it. If I want to do a transparency, I pretty much have to do another polyline. Object snaps on, so we'll just start there again. Turn the object snap off. center filled. Select the color. I'll do sandstone color. Center back. And there's our tiles. I'm just going to check something for a minute. I have to do a text message. So I think the backyard's taking a bit of shape. We can just check that there. That's that one. That colour was 47. So we'll give it another save. Oh, polyline. 47. There you go. It's the same one. We can draw polyline. Start in this corner. Look, you don't have to do this for every pavement. I mean, you could just do one pavement, or you can just do a little section of pavement to give the idea. To closed. Give the idea of what you're proposing. I mean, it saves printer ink, it saves larger files. Random dot and stone pattern. We want random dot pattern, don't we? Random dot pattern. And did that do anything? Send that to the back tools. Draw order. Send to the back. Oh, there it is. So it is there. Select that. What did this one have? Oh, can't get a dot. Ah, 5 on that one too. So that's not looking too bad. We'll just draw a polyline. Again, I was going to say, you don't have to hatch the whole thing. You could just do this. To there. Enter closed. Hatch this. And we're looking for grass. Cross. It's in alphabetical order, so we're pretty lucky that we can find grass. I think that's the density is the number you should be looking at. So as you change the scale, I think the density we really want is something. Doesn't tell you density there either. What does it tell you on this one? No. Draw. Hatch. 5. Okay, what does that do? Use that. So yeah, about 20, 22. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's absolutely perfectly true. So you know whether 22 is that ratio you're looking at, the density you're looking for in all hatches, but yeah, just try it out. I think I'm going to do that to green. That's a nice green. This is a nice green. And then what you do is you just remove this. You remove the polyline, so you get that. Erase, and then you will just get. I don't. Usually, the city blueprints are nicer font. And then from there I'll just like copy that to where I need it. Once I've got a size I like, and dwelling, yep, it gives you some idea. And then I'll also use these dimension leaders, which is pretty cool. Okay. We'll do another one. Light brown. Put a couple of trees in. Draw tools. Standard. See what we can find. I'll just bring this one in anyway because it's just a bit annoying going through that list like that. So I'll put that there. I just prefer for this stage of design just a lot of blocks I can just grab from off the page. I just find it easier to work that way. So they got groups here of different blocks of symbols, grasses, classical or heritage roses and things. There's actually one that's got a lot of stuff in it here. I don't know which is it, Nordic or open, sculptural. Could have been Nordic. Trees there. I think we'll go that Nordic one because it's got something that looks like conifers. Certain the drawing, okay. So if you put that there, just even some plant names on there, which can be helpful. I don't know why they call that Nordic exactly. It's one big box. What you want to do is just explode it, and now they're individual ones you can use. So I might just place that there. Now something else you can do too if you want to, it just depends how much time you want to spend on your plans. Just do a polyline. Say you wanted to, this garden bed here, you wanted to sort of show a soil background. And it can look pretty good, or a mulch background at least. I can't remember where I did that other join there now. So annoying, that erase. I don't know if it's something I'm doing, but I don't know how to highlight the polyline as I'm putting it in to join it to create it closed or filled. So what I'm going to do is I'll just start on the corner, then I know where I've started. So I'll start there, and I'll just do this. The guys at Gcad, they've got a couple of suggested programs where you can actually post doing your plan. You can you know, export it as a JPEG or something. I think if I just enter closed from randomly close to it, it'll just find the endpoint anyway. So if I had done it there, it would have just created an extra line to find the 0.0. So draw. We'll hatch it that there. I'm going to go solid. Oh no, we didn't want to do that at all. I've completely stuffed that up. Let's delete that. That's where you got to be careful. So what we'll do is we'll go draw, polyline. I'm just trying to show you something else you can do. I wouldn't typically do this on this drawing. So we're going to start there. We'll try this other trick too. Go down to there. Go to there. At this point you can turn off object snap and just follow it around a bit easier. It's not trying to snap onto twigs and that tree and the other lines. And to see, it just comes back on itself. So even though I went past it, it's created this little section there. It doesn't really matter for what we're doing. Let's get a colour in that. So it's mulch-like colour. That's okay. Pine mulch colour. Alright, that'll do. We can go to Tools, Draw Order, Send to Back. Alright, and then if you go a bit further, go to Transparency, 100. Let's have a look at it. Layout, and you can sort of see it looks like a, well, I'm not sure if transparency is actually, let's just see if we can export that as. I don't think it comes out in the PDF. If you printed it, anyway, just something. You can't even see it at 10, so it is doing some transparency. So if I go back to that, maybe I just didn't. You can just. Oh, let's go back and try that again. Let's select that first. 40. Yep. there's a bit more transparency there. But whether or not that's the same as selecting, say, if we just chosen the colour, a lighter colour like that to begin with, I'm not too sure. Anyway, we're not going to have that in there for this plan. We'll get rid of that. We'll go back to, I was actually looking for something that looks like a conifer. Which could do, copy that out of there, bring it over to here. We'll explode it again. Explode. Get rid of these pink bits. Shift and select them all. Erase. Create block. Just write conifer on it. Okay. Now it's copy. Put it there. Scale. I think they're about 300 mil wide, so if I went to 300, I think it's radius, or I think it's already at 300, say 500. It's only about 300. I'm going to scale it up a bit. No, it doesn't matter, let's say it's like that. Copy. I'm going to be just that looks a bit shite. Move. I'm just putting him in by eye, I'm not doing it any certain spacing. This garden bed's most likely just going to be conifers like that. With just the Tuscan pebbles, I will show you again. So we'll go back. There's Tuscan pebbles there. We're pretty much going to have the path, put the Tuscan pebbles there, and put the conifers in between. That'll be its mulch. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it'll keep the weeds down, and it'll be low maintenance, and it'll be reusing what's already there. So yeah, alright. Keep drawing this front one out. Step back on. 2050, 1220, 980 in the portico. So I'm just following it around. The fronts are a little more difficult. The front back's just a big rectangle essentially. That was 700. Just reminded me of what I was going to mention before about those. I think they're 220. Those little garage return pier things there. I hope I'm right. 4830. It doesn't really matter, I guess. 30. Then we go 220, and then another 460. Does that like? Oh, look at that! My measurements are out by. Oh, are they out? No, they're out. So that garage wall, once I went right around the house, it's out by 40 millimeters. So I pretty much measured from there, all the way down there, and it's been out by 40 mil. It's in a landscape drawing, it's here or there. It's not going to affect it too much. I mean, we just got to make a decision if we join them up at all. I just wouldn't bother. I'd just leave it like that. We know the front must be pretty right when I drew it, and the back must be pretty right when I drew it, so I don't know what the discrepancy is there. I don't think the house is running on, I mean, it's very possible this is running 40 mil on an angle. I mean, overall, you know, that could buff out. I've measured straight from there, but every time you have 10 mil render on there, there's your 20 mil there. You know, I could have measured off the brick here. There was a little bit buffed out a little bit, just a little bit of an angle, and it adds an extra 10 mil. There's another 20 mil. Could be 10 mil on that brick, anything. So 40 mil in the scheme things, I'm pretty happy about that. So it's not much to be concerned about. But the actual boundary, that's the garage wall. The actual boundary is actually another 110, and it should technically meet up with that. But I'm just measuring to the fence, so the fence could have moved or anything. So I'm just going to do it as I measured it, not as what it doesn't line up as. So 110, so that would mean there's the boundary from the front is, yeah, see something's out there. I don't know what's going on. It mightn't be much, it just could be all the little imperfections in the walls and stuff like that. And straight to there. So what I'd do here is, to get the frontage of the property, I've measured off this front wall here on the corner and to the front footpath, and it's 4,400. So that's there. So that's the front boundary. And then if you went like this, I don't know how wide the footpath is. I think it's 1,200 to 1,500 wide. And that's your footpath there. And we'll go draw a line here, and that comes out to there. Now this front bit, again, it goes on a 45-degree angle. I don't know if I've got a photo of it. I mightn't have taken it. Well, just here, so that comes straight there, and that's straight there, and there's a little 45. The reason that keeps doing that is I think my mouse rolling wheel is a bit sensitive. It just flips the photos around a bit. Alright, so what I've done to get that right is I've taken a measurement from this fence to here, and then from there I'll just assume it's a 45-degree angle. So as long as I've got those three coordinates, so I've got one here that comes out to there, and there's 90 degrees straight across. It's at 4.4. One off this one, that's 2, and then the third one is this one here. It reaches to the point, the apex of that 45, and I just go 45 off there. I would be pretty close, I reckon. So what I'm going to do is, where's that measurement? That was 3170. So draw a line. I should have just done this in the first place. 3170, and we're just looking for it to polar snap at 45, which is there. That's it. And then we can trim this back to there. We can just erase that one. No, we can't, because it goes all the way down. So we have to go to select it again, bring it to there, trim this one, goes to there, erase that. This footpath we might just keep in there. We might replicate that. So copy, we'll put that out at 1200, and we might do the same on this one. Gives them some point of reference, and I'll just drag that a bit further that way. This one over that line again. Should stay there. I think it went off a little bit. Again, I could trim them, but I'm pretty happy just doing it that way. Trim this one too. Actually, Now we're going to work out that driveway where that actually went, which was a little bit weird. So in the plan I've got drawn, so that was at 900, and then it went to that point there. And the crossover was there. Now this other one, so I think originally this goes 1100 that way. And it lined up roughly, it's not exactly there, but with this inside pillar there. I'll just do it by that line there, and so I didn't take that. I missed one measurement, I think, but it doesn't really matter because we're just gonna say it went like that, which it pretty much does like that because it doesn't line up with that. It goes like that. That's the original, something like that. I should have measured that. I made a bit of a mistake. I just haven't put the measurement in for some reason. I don't really need it, but it more just to show where the original driveway went, and then to show what we're doing to come over the top of it to correct it. But in that case it's easy. We just go from here, we're just going to go to there. I'm going to line it up with the front there so you can get two cars in. We've got a reference for the, see that's the thing, I've written 2.1 from the, it's really annoying. See that's see the crossover's coming that way and it finishes about there, the crossover, but the drive we're going to line up with that. I have no idea what that opening was, but for some reason I've written 2.1 to where that tap is. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter because it's going to line up with that. We're going to curve around it. We'll make it work. Sometimes you just got to be a bit diligent when that happens. Sometimes you just you start talking or whatever, or you just miss a measurement. So you just got to make sure, and you got to make sure you write them clear too if you haven't got them on there too clear. Just go over them and write out what they're for as well and where they end, because they have a tendency just to jot them down quickly. So we're going to get that line again, and we're going to start there because that's where it's going to start. Whatever that is, doesn't really matter. We know the water meter's somewhere here at the tap, and we've got to start back up here because the client wants a garden bed just here. So I reckon we can make it 700 wide, and the idea is to make the path about, I think we can make it 900 because I don't want to make it too wide. We're going to remove this bit of concrete here because the little fault lines don't really line up. It's look a bit odd, so we sort of have to cut that to line it up neatly and then repaint it to match the driveway, which is charcoal. We'll have a look here. The back we can do a different colour. You can see it's charcoal concrete with the charcoal paint over the top. So how are we going to do that? That's simple. We look at the draw arc. I'm just tend to just so from the point. That's the bit we're removing from the existing driveway. We're going to remove that square there. This bit here, we're going to move that, and then this is just going to curve around now, and then the path's going to be 700 off that wall. Back to the drawing, and so we'll reconcrete this whole area, and we'll pin all that, etc, etc, all that stuff. This is the tricky bit. So draw a line, we're going to continue this path to the front, and I'm going to go up to there. I think my best idea will start about halfway. I'm just going to do a little corner. I'm going to round that corner off. It's more awkward, but it's going to look better. Make sure that clicks onto that. And draw another arc. We'll start, I reckon we should start about halfway through that garden bed. And then we should be a bit past that wall. I mean, it looks a bit bulged out. Yeah, see, it's going to come in a little bit. See, they could actually better bit off doing this. So a nice S bend. Now this side here, because there's such a height difference between here and there, I think we're going to have to, when we concrete this, we're going to have to do that maybe 250 mil deep on the edge, and then we're going to have to take the timber off and finish it. So you see the side isn't just like we don't just see the side like that. It'll come out. The side will be troweled the same as the top or thereabouts, and as it just curves around, it'll be done like that. It'll be a much nicer look. Whether we need that in the corner, I mean, this is going from a thinner path to a thicker path, so it looks a little bit weird, but it doesn't look too bad. Now they can get 2 cars in, they can walk around, and what we do here, I'm proposing just put all grass. We just put a couple of plants in there to make it. These two grass plants always look pretty good. I'm going to turn object snap off. Escape. Make them a bit bushier, scale them up. Where's that one? Again, these are just placeholders. This doesn't mean what we're actually putting in. Plants in terms of plants, it's just get an idea. Yeah, so it doesn't look too bad. I think we want another tree. Copy that one from there. I would call that an almond tree, perhaps. It's flowering. Looks like one. So just a few main trees, a bit more shrubbery in the other corner perhaps. What do we got? It looks good, it's a nice we'll probably never put anything in that looks like that there, but it's a nice looking symbol. Copy, put one here and there. dimensions leader. So what we can do here, we get a bit of polyline. Oh, get that object snap back on. There. Enter filled, and we get a light pink colour. And we'll draw some transparency on it. Hey, 70. Let's remove that concrete. We'll get another dimension. I forgot where I started. Oh, see what happens. I think it worked. That's the architectural concrete hatch, I believe, but we want something that actually looks like concrete. So we'll go back to where are those random dot patterns? Dots, a series of dots. That's two uniform dots, series of dots, random dots, random dot pattern. AR sand. Okay, just remember that dot pattern. In this case, we could. I'll just leave them like that. I'll just lock in the picture in the layout. Is it all fitting in? Yeah, kind of fitting in. We can just delete that polyline anyway if we don't like it. A little bit more to go. It all just depends on how long you want to spend. I'm going to just do I was talking about the I'll select a green for that. Get rid of this polyline because it looks terrible. We don't need it. You get rid of this one. Don't need that. Looks a bit neater. So layout. That doesn't look too bad. So curve this, add that concrete to that, remove that concrete, and then re-concrete back in there too. I think that should just be all lawn to there, because to be honest, that's all lawn. This all has to be mowed as well. You're only looking at extra, not even 25 meters, I don't think. Let's work out how much area that actually is. We get it, tools, area. Oh, it doesn't matter. It gives us a bit of an idea. It's because mostly this snaps on. Let me turn that. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't be doing it in layout mode. I should be doing it here. Let's escape that. It seems to make it go a bit slower. Tools, area. I don't know if it's accurate in that mode either. It's more just for... It should be, I don't see why it wouldn't be. Now when you're measuring with this and it's in metric like it is here, I don't know if anyone's using this in Imperial in America, I'm sure there is. Okay, so we've got 20,000, wait, it's actually 20 million, because it's by per square millimeter, so you've got to divide that by, you know, what's 1,000 by 1,000. I don't even know what that is. I think it's a million, isn't it? Times 1,000 equals, yeah, 1 million. Or thousands, of course. Yeah, so 1 million. So if it's 20 million, it's 20 meters. So there's 20 square meters there. Yeah, so it's not too much grass really. And at the end of the day, that's all theirs to mow. There's probably over 100 meters of grass to mow here alone, and there's 20 meters in the front yard, and probably maybe close to 20 there in the back. So yeah, it's not too bad. I think that's probably the best solution for the front yard. Looking at it, I can't think of. I mean, we can try to like pick up all these pebbles and just put all pebbles in that 20 meters, or another idea was to do. Oh, so there's a little water meter here, I should say, as well. So actually, what I was going to do, draw 3 points. So from about here, I was just going to do a little semicircle garden bed, and that's where the water meter would sit, inside that garden bed. It just makes it easier to mow. You don't have to whip a snip around that, and you can just put something at the entrance there to cover up the water meter. A couple of low-lying plants, and yeah. Oh, so we can find it. You'll be tired. I'll do. Turn that off. See, it started to work then, but then it decided not to. It was trying to send them back to the base point in the plan, I think. So they could just be Agapanthus or something like that, and then the tap in the middle. There's a bit of garden bed here. I think what we'll try and do is we'll utilise those pebbles, and we'll use them as those white ones. We'll use them as mulch here, and mulch on that. Make that all grass. The other alternative, like I was saying before, was you know, we could reuse that synthetic grass. I'm not a fan, and I think if we line it up with the window, we can have a piece like, that's not a dimension tool, line, so you can go, I think we could just have a strip, if I worked it out correctly. We could have like a strip of grass of just synthetic there, and then all that pebble, but I just don't see that looking very good. I mean, it's nice to use up something that's already been created, and it's a shame to waste it, but that's why you shouldn't use synthetic grass. It's just a wasteful product. So many of these synthetic grass jobs are just going to go straight to the tip in 5 years time, 10 years, and they already do. I pulled up quite a few. Yeah, just unless if you install it properly, yeah, it's okay, but even then, if it's a large area, it's good for small spots like this, but again, this should have been installed properly. It was done right the first time, you wouldn't have to pull it up the second time. Yeah, throwing money down the drain and just wasteful. So I don't like that idea. I think just still grass is the easiest way. It's a little bit cheaper too. You're just going to have to leave it to the tenants to mow it. Unfortunately, we probably wouldn't choose that if the nature strip didn't have so much grass. So, okay, you can see all this has got to be mowed, and there's a bit more at the front. So if that's already there and has to be done, what's adding an extra 40 meters front and back? It's not, shouldn't be a big problem. But I was just saying before, this here, it's funny because I've done some houses that when the house is more not a volume builder kind of thing. So say you had an architecturally designed home. Can you imagine like an architecturally designed home, top end, bespoke, and then at the end of the day they're like, oh yeah, you've got to put an apron right around your house 1 meter wide. Can you imagine the reaction from, say, an architect or something like that? I don't think they'd want to see that. But yeah, you buy a volume building home and you want a warranty on it, you've got to do all this around your house. Something doesn't make sense there. Definitely can't have water pooling next to the home, no doubt about it. But whether that's a garden bed, whether that's just dirt falling away from the home, at least the house, if the house is covered, there shouldn't really be any issue. I don't see why you'd need this slab, because if the slab was critical to the home, it would be built as part of the slab when it's built, or one of the first things it's built as part of the contract to build the home to get the warranty. I mean, you can't have a home that's build a home and you say, oh, there's a 16-year warranty on it, but you've got to do this to get it. I don't think that's how it should really work. I think it's just unfair on people, and this is what happens, is that you have this sort of, I don't know, rule that's written, and then people rush to do it the cheapest they can, concrete up the wall, looks terrible, and there's no freedom to really do any landscape design. You've just got to follow this 1 meter thing, so you can't have, like I said, a meandering path or whatever. Yeah, it's a bit of a, it's stuffing up a lot of gardens, I reckon. But that's another story. Yeah, so that's what we're sort of going to do. That we're going to propose that. We're going to price that up, and now what I can do is I can pretty much take all my measurements from this job here quite easily. I don't have to look back at my measurements. It's all there, and I can always get them quite easily, and they're quite accurate. So just if I want to know my concrete area, done. Just that there for that section, so we can price them that. There's 18 square meters. So how much area we've got in this concrete? We've got 18 there. I'm not even gonna, something like that. I mean, you could follow the curve, but I'd just do a straight line typically. And there's 23 there, so we're at 50 thereabouts, and there's probably another 10 there, so 60 squares, and we concrete around there. It's probably about 70 to 80 squares in total, and then the paving and lawn. So there's a bit there to do. We'll see if we can export this as a couple other things, and then I'll just try and show you the final drawing. This is just a, give the client an idea of what's going to be done. It's not huge, it's detail in terms of measurements, so we know exactly how much area you want, but in terms of trees and plants and stuff in final design, I mean, this could change as we're there, or we're going to make cutbacks to it. Oh look, it's going to cost too much money to do this or that. I don't think there's much choice here. I mean, the only area I can really see we can take from is this paving perhaps, but I think you'd be shooting yourself a foot to change that. Grass is the cheapest option. There's minimal planting. That's just going to be that Tuscan pebbles. I'll show you again. See those pebbles? We're going to scrape up all them and save them all, and we're going to spread them as the mulch. And I'm going to throw all that out. Throw the concrete out and be recycled, but it's not really recycled if someone just put it in This is one of the problems with recycled concrete. Just because you can crush it up into road base doesn't mean it's a good thing. It just means it wasn't installed properly in the first place that they're pulling it out. So if it been properly done in the first place, you wouldn't have to pull it out, and therefore your carbon footprint would be a lot less. In fact, your carbon footprint with recycled crushed rock or recycled concrete like this is tenfold, I'd say. This is just freshly quarried material, fresh cement. It's just been installed. It's going to be cut out with a saw, carted away, crushed again, and used just as the same as the road base underneath. It's pretty sad circumstance. Yet at the end of the day, someone can call it green, but it's not really green. It's just really energy intensive and wasteful, and it's very deceptive. A lot of these products that they call green, like these eco, all it's doing is giving an option to get rid of new concrete easier, and that's not while it's good in one way, it's not really a green option. Same as the recycled glass and things like that. It's all about marketing and trying to tell you that it is green, but it's not really. It just means they're not going to spend the time to try and recycle it in a better way. It's easier to crush it and then call it green, or mix it into your asphalt. This recycled glass. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent there, but it doesn't make much sense if you really think about it. Sure, if there's a 100-year-old concrete building that gets pulled down and recycled, that's great. That means it's really the concrete's lasted, it's done its job, it's lasted the years it's got to last. But if you're pulling out concrete that's 10 years old, that's just not recycling. That's the opposite of recycling. Alright, so we're going to get another mine in this leader. We'll put this in there. They already know what it is. I don't really have to write. To driveway. I think that's about all we need. We can put. I've got a logo thing I can use. I don't think it's really worth putting on. It's the time I place it in and set it out with the layout. The client doesn't really need that in this situation. They know what I mean. They know who I am. We're just going to try and reposition it though, so the viewport's in a better spot. We can size it down a bit. Because we're going to try and show you what it looks like on the PDF too. Pretty happy with that. Alright, save as PDF. Okay. We'll just write test 2. See what it looks like. A couple of things I could change. Just put a couple more dimensions on there. Yeah, so they can double check my dimensions, and I'll just actually change the way the dimensions look in the format. And what I'll do is I'll change the colour of those two because they look a bit better if you do them in blue, a light blue, like an engineer blueprint blue. I'll go to format, dimension styles, text. Because it's a large page, we'll up them to 200. That looks a bit better. But that also, see if you go to dimensions, you got leader. When you up the size of the dimension style, you're also upsizing all these leaders. These are called leaders. Whereas your normal inserting text isn't going to do that. But what you can do at least is you can go around. You just hold down Shift, select all your dimensions. Now what I might put a couple more dimensions in. Linear. careful with this, how big this back area is going to be. They might want to just go around with the tape and double check my measurements. And then from there to there. I don't have to do them all, just enough to give them an idea. We'll select them all. There's probably a quicker way to do this. I think maybe in formatting I can actually change the colour. Then I did that. I unselected them just as I nearly selected them all. I can't help myself. I've got to keep selecting them all. Oh no, that's not good. Got away with it. And I think I always like this colour. I think it's 144. It's sort of a blueprint colour. I think it just stands out nicely on the white, but not so much on that bit. But if we go look at layout, the blue on white always looks really good. Doesn't stand on that brown colour too much, but we've missed one here too. I think it was the brown, the blue that I wanted. I'm not sure if you can go to format and then go to dimension styles, text, standard. Yeah, you got different fonts. I don't really play with the fonts too much. I was just wondering if there's a bold. I don't know if you can. Don't think you can put a bold in there. Text style, text color. Oh, you can just set the color as well. So if you wanted to set it as all as 144, you can do it in the format area. Units you can change. Preview. Okay. Dimension lines, so you can get a different line weight on the lines, but you can't increase, like you can't create a bold, the bold measurement. I don't think it really matters. You just probably better off doing it through, you know, maybe change it to Archie style. It seems to be a bit bolder. Overall, it doesn't look too bad. It gives you an idea. We're gonna go to that. That's it. Now, sometimes if you go file, it's not save as PDF. We go file, go print, change that to QPDF writer. Click A3. Landscape. You can automatically select the source. Usually you get a better print job from that. You can fit to paper if you want to get a ratio for the client, a nice even ratio. You can scale it, so you can unclick that, change this. So say that's to there, you could just round that up to say 1 to 1. Is it 1 to 1? It's not 1 to 1. It's 1.96. Bring it to, I think it's, maybe 1 meter is 1 millimeter. No, 100 mil. I think. Yeah, it would be 100 mil. So 1 meter, 1 mil would be 100 mil. 1 mil would be 100 millimeters, but that would be a nice way to round it up. And then you put the scale on the drawing. We'll wait a minute. We'll just write fit to paper because that's what we've got. We've already done it in the layout. Scale. Just wait for it to print. Just waiting for it to load now, I think. load. Close test 2 down. Yeah, it's not loading straight up. See, with the, if you export for whatever reason, when you export with Garden with what's it called, PDF printer, it doesn't seem to bring out the, see the colours, and that's what we sort of want because they look pretty cool. So we'll probably just do file, save as PDF. And that's what we'll send them. Give them an idea. And they'll probably come back to me with some changes, and if they do, we'll put some changes in and go from there. That's it. Till next time.